right, everybody. Let me see those hands get together. If you love your mother.
Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is girl Makeba here again, and welcome to another video. So today's video is going to be one of my Talk Ghana or Talk Africa videos, and today I just want to talk about rites of passage. And what is a rite of passage? Basically, a rite of passage is a ceremony or rituals that are performed to usher an individual from one state to another. So it's like a transitional rite from childhood to adulthood, and there are various rites in Ghana. There's there are widowhood rite, there's a puberty rite, and there is quite a number of rites that I don't remember at the moment. But today I just wanted to talk about the puberty rite, where young girls are transitioned from one state to another, where young girls move from childhood to adulthood. And I just want to talk about one particular puberty rite in Ghana, which is the Dipo rite. And the Dipo rite is celebrated by the people of Odumase Krobo in the eastern region of Ghana, and it is celebrated usually in April, the month of April. And what happens is that the spiritual leader of the people of Odumase Krobo would come out and announce that it is yet another time for the celebration, or for girls to go through the process of becoming women. And so if you have a daughter, or you have a female living with you who is of age and falls within the age group, which is usually teenagers, sometimes teenagers who have just seen their period, or some who have already seen their period, or some who haven't but still are, old enough, or what they term as age appropriate. I don't really know what the ages are, but I know it's usually for teenagers and girls who are old enough to be married, so to speak. And the parents, upon hearing these announcements, especially the mothers, will then prepare their daughters and have them taken, to partake in the rites. Because before you can actually, it's like some form of training that you go through. So these girls are first of all handed over to the chief priest, who will in turn hand them over to a ritual mother. And this ritual mother will serve as a guide and someone who would, take the girls through the various process and tell them what to do, and instruct them in terms of what they need to do to go through the whole process. I think I've used the word process so many times back. Yeah. So on the first day of the ritual, these girls have their hair shaved. Their hair is completely shaved. And not just the hair on their hair, basically everywhere that there's hair on their body is shaved, and it's like doing away with something that is old. It's like leaving behind something. That is what it's supposed to signify. You're leaving behind something that is old, and your hair is going to grow, and you're gonna, something new is going to happen to you. So it's more or less like a way of sensitizing them, or letting them know that something is happening. So they shave off all of their hair, and they are dressed up, they change their clothes, they are made to wear, they're scantily dressed. At this point, no member of the public gets to see them, because they are housed in special homes for these girls, and so no member of the family really gets, the public really gets to see them. So they're made to wear clothing, they're scantily covered, especially from waist down. From waist up, it's pretty much left bare, you don't wear anything. And on the second, this happens on the first day, and on the second day, the ritual, the priest takes them to a special river where they are washed. They are given a bath. They're given a special bath. Amidst pouring of libation and prayers by the chief priest, and what happens is that you're washing away the old and you're becoming a new. So everything they do pretty much through this process is to let you know that something special is happening to you. You're no longer who you were. Now you're no longer a kid. You can't be running around and behaving like a kid. It's time for you to grow up and act maturely. So these rituals, these cleansings, like washing away the old. And then also one thing that I did not mention is that before these girls are presented to the chief priest, mothers or parents are made to bring along certain items, including clothing, beads, beautiful African prints, you know, so that upon, let's say, graduating from this process, these girls will adorn themselves in these beautiful beads and stuff to show to the public. But one thing that they are made to add as well is a live goat, a live, living, breathing goat. And these goats are killed and their blood is used to wash these girls' feet during the ritual. After they've been given the bath, they use the blood to wash their feet. And the washing of the feet is to wash away the spirit of barrenness. So once you become a woman, you're expected to become a mother, you're a wife, and of course you're expected to have children, to conceive. And children were so important to these communities. Their livelihood, parents, you know, pride themselves in the number of children they had, and not being able to conceive was such a huge problem. Childbirth and having children was so important that if you did, you could have all of the money, you could be so rich, you could have big farms, you could have, you know, a huge plot of land, livestock, big compound, big house, and if you do not have money, you were still not accorded the respect that you deserved. You know, somebody would have nothing but have one child or two children, and they will be seen as more important than you are, because they consider giving birth to be a way of, you know, keeping your lineage. And also those communities in the past, I'm talking about the past now, were so small that they wanted to grow, and in order to grow these communities is to give birth to more children. So giving birth was really important. It was so important that a woman who could give birth, who could have as many as 10 children was rewarded. Sometimes with a cow. From where I come from, you're given a whole huge cow for giving birth to 10 children. So I remember my mother said when she was young, she always said she wanted to give birth to 10 children so she could, you know, get a cow. But in other areas, you're given a goat. Other areas, they even have a whole celebration, dancing, and, you know, and I don't want to veer off what I'm talking about. So we're talking about the Dipo. So they wash their feet with this blood, and then once the chief priest's work at this point is done, he then hands them over again to the spiritual mother who takes it from here. And the Dipo, you have to be a virgin in order to partake in the Dipo. And you have to be a virgin to partake in the celebration, to go through the Dipo rites. And so they have a sacred grove where these girls are taken to, and housing the sacred grove is this sacred grove houses a stone, which is the sacred stone that these girls are made to sit on in the presence of a priestess. And the priestess, of course, watches these girls as they sit on these sacred stones. They sit on the sacred stone 3 times. So it's like you sit, and then you get up, and you sit, and you get up, and you sit on the sacred stones 3 times. And while you're doing this, the priestess will be observing you, and she is known to have special powers that will let her know if you are a virgin or not. But personally, I think, this is just my personal opinion, I think it probably has to do with maybe your behavior, because there is so much spiritual fear that is put into these girls that if you're not a virgin and you go in there, something might happen to you. And so once you go in there, I would like to think the priestess will probably watch your mannerism or your behavior, or whether you're tensed or you're nervous, or if you look like you have something to hide, maybe that is one of the ways she tells that these girls are, you know, not virgin, or perhaps truly she has special powers that makes her, you know, capable of telling which girl is a virgin and which girl is not, and which girl should be allowed to partake in the, you know, festivities and which girl shouldn't be allowed. And also these communities were very, very small communities, and so when you everybody tends to know everybody, and elders in the community tend to know when children are up to no good. And so I'm just trying to think how a person could tell from sitting on the stone. But the priestess just sit down and then observes, and once she gives you the nod or let them know that you're okay, you can go ahead and then get initiated. But until then, you have to go through this. And I remember when we were kids, there were rumors going around actually that once you enter into the sacred groove and you're made to sit on the sacred stone, when you sit on it 1, 2, on the third time you get stuck. If you're not a virgin, you get stuck, and if you're a virgin, you get up and go. And that's how the priestess was able to tell. But I'm not, that story hasn't been validated, and I have no way of, you know, it was just, I think it was just a way of putting fear in the girls, or, you know, young girls, and preventing them from being promiscuous or, you know, engaging in sexual activities prior to, you know, this Dipo. So yeah, that is one of the ways. It's more like, you know, an entrance exam. So you have to pass that exam before you can move on to the next step. A week. They are housed for like a week, and during these times they bring in maybe the queen mother, they bring in elderly women within the community to come in and educate, including the ritual mother, to educate these girls on how to please their husbands, on how to man a home, how to maintain a home, how to make their husbands happy. They also teach them how the process of childbearing and how to nurture their children and how to keep their husbands, you know, from wandering away. So mainly they give them all the tidbits of, you know, sex, education, and mainly cooking. They even teach them cooking skills, and, you know, they advise them in terms of what they should do in the home, how they should respect their husbands, how they should be submissive, how they should commit themselves to relationship, you name it. They teach them all of these things, and mainly it's all about how to be homely, how to take care of your home once you get married. So that is something that they did. And then the ritual mothers are sure that these girls are ready to go out into the world and to meet their prospective husbands. They are dressed up, and this is mainly the climax of the whole Dipo celebration. It's like a huge celebration where there's food, there's music, and these girls are taught a special dance called the Klama dance, and this dance is usually performed on the day. So people will, I mean, almost everybody within the community will come out on that. Everybody is aware that it's going to happen, so there's like no work, nothing. Everybody comes out and they drum. There's a lot of drumming, there's a lot of singing, and then these girls are adorned in these beautiful outfits, especially a lot of beads around their waist. They don't wear anything on their upper part, but then they are covered, you know. There's really scantily come out during this beautiful Klama dance, and then the whole community is there to witness this. And one of the reasons why they do this, one of the reasons why they bring these girls out, is for prospective husbands or young men who are also of age or looking for wives to, you know, if one of the girls catches your eye, then you have to go to her family and let them know. You tell your own family first, and then you take your family to the girl's house, and then you let them know that you saw this girl, she's of age, she's been proven to be a virgin, she's been given all of the training she needed, and then you know, you take it from there. And, you know, so mainly it is to tell the community that these girls are of marriage age. They are ready to be married. They are ready, to become, if there's a man interested, then you're pretty much being given the go ahead to select. Make your selection and then, take it further from there. So, yep. And while I was speaking, I mentioned that girls, they are tested, if they're virgins or not before they can partake in this whole celebration or this whole ritual or this whole rite of transition, the process of this rite of transition. Once you're found not to be a virgin, or especially if you're found to be pregnant, you're cast out, more like you're ostracized. You and the man who impregnated you, you're ostracized from your community, you're cast out, you're like exiled, so you're made to leave. And that is something that most of these communities did not want, because at the time there wasn't much development out there. You can't just move out, and I mean, of course you could go live somewhere, but then it wasn't as it is today, where people have a lot of people don't really the family system is not as strong as it used to be. And if you're found not to be a virgin, you're just simply prevented from partaking in this rite of transition. You're prevented from taking in the process, and which also tells men that, okay, you are promiscuous. And so usually when this happens, it becomes difficult for you to find a husband or for someone to come forward. And getting married or being married at the time was very, very important. It was as important as breathing air. So yeah. And one of the rites of transition, which is closely linked or they have almost the same process, is the Bragro. Bragro is celebrated by the people of the Akan in Ghana, and there are few differences, but mostly it's close to this. I mean, the process is pretty much the same, just some subtle differences here and there. And there are other rites of transition. There's a rite of transition for the people of Angola. I can't really remember what it's called, but today I just wanted to come here and talk about the Dipo rites, and hopefully I'll come back next time and talk about. I mean, I don't come from the eastern region of Ghana. I come from the upper east region of Ghana, and the only thing, or I don't want to call it a rites, because I find it to be quite inhumane, which is the female genital mutilation. It happens, my community is known to, I mean, even right now people secretly do it. So I will find time to make a video on that. And if you're interested in knowing the little that I know, or why the people of the north, the Sandema area, the Sisala, the Bulisa people, perform these, the female genital mutilation, let me know and I will make a special video on that. But today, I just wanted to talk about the Dipo, which is a rite of passage. And there are other rites of passage too that I can also talk about. If you're interested, once again, hit me up in the comment section, let me know and I'll make a video on that. So I don't want to drag this video, and on this note, I will bring it to an end. And I want to say thank you so much for sticking and staying with me, for giving me your ear. And hopefully I will see you next time. And please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, like, and comment in the comment section. And I will see you all next time. From the girl Makeba, it's bye for now.